Yo, what's up, people? Sweet Baby Incorporated is having a very bad week. Now, I haven't heard of this particular group until about a month ago when I was looking up some stuff on the internet. It's about a particular thing I was looking at. And I found out how they had their tendrils in a bunch of games that I actually liked and was kind of curious as to why a lot of the elements in the games. Then I looked into it a little bit and I saw some stuff that the person who's in charge of this particular group said, and you get an aha moment. So I brought it up on my podcast with some of my friends. We were talking about it. In the last week, it has exploded because apparently everybody else has discovered this group too. So the critical drinker decided to weigh in on this. So I thought I'd check it out and see what he had to say about it. All right, so let's get into this.
Financial crises, studio interference, corporate bloat, mass layoffs, substandard writing, embarrassing visuals, the destruction of legacy characters and franchises, and an unhealthy focus on the message. Now, you might think I'm talking about the self-inflicted problems facing modern-day Hollywood, but you'd be wrong, mister, because today I'm going to be talking about the video game industry and the crisis that's rapidly unfolding in it. But first, allow me to paint you a picture, dear viewer. Imagine for a moment that you're a major games developer, and due to years of corporate mismanagement and substandard hiring practices that prioritize diversity and inclusion over actual talent and creative ability, your studio is now bloated with excessive numbers of talentless idiots who all say the right things on social media but contribute nothing of value to your business. Now, you could do something crazy like start laying people off and tightening up your operations so that it's more financially efficient. Maybe even bring in some talented people who know what they're doing. But no, the better solution here is clearly some of that sweet ESG money that can tide you over until you can shart out the next buggy, overpriced, unfinished, barely playable piece of crap that's going to force players to use endless microtransactions and expensive DLC just to keep up with. I love the gaming industry today. But wait, there's a problem. All those big financial investment companies will only lend you their money if you can prove that you're good little boys and girls whose games correctly push the message. So what to do? Well, in this case, you hire an outside consultancy firm to advise you on how to make your upcoming game more compliant. Let's call them, I don't know, Honeyed Infant Incorporated. Now, on paper at least, they sound like a pretty good prospect.
That scene from the Suicide Squad, it's a Justice League, is a example of double-sided type of things. It's like Harley Quinn grabs Deadshot's ass. They're in a game that you could put on right now where a male character could do that without the same people who are pushing this stuff being completely outraged when that happened. So let's get back to this.
Paper, at least, they sound like a pretty good prospect. A small but very specialized consultancy group that can come in and work closely with your dev teams to break down and analyze the story and design of new video games and advise on how to make them more emotionally resonant, holistically inclusive, quintessentially effervescent, and other meaningless word salad buzz phrases that nobody understands. But man, they sure sound impressive. And even if you don't really understand what they do or why they're so expensive, you can at least say that you've worked with them and proven your loyalty to the message. So now all that wonderful ESG money can start flowing into your bank accounts. What you don't realize at the time though is that Honeyed Infant is a company staffed almost exclusively by hardcore political activists who either couldn't make it as actual game developers or never particularly cared about video games in the first place, have nothing even resembling creative imagination, and instead saw an opportunity to grift their way into an industry that never needed them in the first place. Kind of like 100 years ago when people like Anita Sarkeesian were vaguely relevant for about 15 minutes and used their infamy to blackmail their way into major game studios. Nice dev team you've got there. Be a shame if someone was to spread rumours on social media that you don't care about representation and diversity. I guess you'd better hire someone like me to make sure that doesn't happen, eh?
One thing I never understood is why people bow to Twitter mobs. Most people aren't on Twitter. It's like 10% of the population or something like that. So if they scream and holler, so what? You should be more concerned about your customer base and not anything else. But for some reason, these companies just go, I don't know. It's really weird.
I mean, damn man, Neil Druckmann was so eager to impress her that he basically forced out the actual talented woman who'd been running the Uncharted series so that he could take over for himself. Like, ever wondered why a seasoned adventurer like Nathan Drake was suddenly getting his ass handed to him by this random muscle-bound arsehole who showed up out of nowhere and was inexplicably stronger and better than him at everything?
Yeah,
there you go. Ever
dude, I
wondered
hated
why
that.
Last of Us Part 2 embraced the Disney approach to storytelling?
Put a ticket in and make her name it gay!
Ellie's gay, by the way. Ever wondered why it retconned the hero of the first game into a dumb, gullible, spineless sap who walks into ambushes that he never would have fallen for before and stands there like a fucking goldfish while his adopted daughter screams and berates him for the crime of saving her life, completely ignoring the impossible position he'd been put in and the slim chance of success even if he'd given her up? Or why the intro feels the need to work in the subtle as a sledgehammer social pandering.
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
Smells good.
Or the blatant sacrifice of morality and common sense in favour of my themes. Or this big old slab of beef that we're somehow supposed to identify with. There you go. Anyway, I digress.
Which, in a nutshell, is why I never played that game. I love the first game. And given when I listened to the people who reviewed that, and I heard all about that, I was like, I'm out.
Need Infant now have carte blanche to come in and rewrite your
Hey,
new
this is
game
what I'm
in any
talking
way they
about.
see fit, because their word is basically law now. And because all they really care about is making themselves feel better by lecturing the rest of the world about social and political issues that specifically matter to them, they begin to make changes. Lots of changes. Got a legacy straight white male hero that's been hugely popular and the mainstay of your
Gotta
franchise
go.
for years? Well, clearly
Yeah, he
he
gotta
needs
go.
to go in favour of someone more diverse and worthy, who we're going to take every possible opportunity to remind the audience is better than straight white male hero in every possible way. But how exactly to get rid of him? Well, let's just say he's gone off to find himself because he got sad or something. You know, whatever. As long as he's out of the picture, that's all that really matters. Got a whole bunch of straight white male heroes to take care of? What the hell? Let's just kill them all in the most ignominious and disrespectful way possible and turn their deaths into a big old joke. Because truly, nothing's funnier than seeing iconic characters get murdered and then literally pissed on. But oh wait, one of the heroes is a woman. Well, that's a completely different story, don't you know? Honeyed Infant will make sure that her death is a solemn, poignant and heroic
Honeyed Infant.
sacrifice, because as we all know, death's only funny when it happens to men. And of course, they'll be sure to pepper in random changes to the sexuality of established characters that have got no bearing on the story or their development as people, but that doesn't
Who cares if a freaking shark?
particularly matter because they say so. Got a bunch of attractive female characters in your game that appeal to your mostly male fan base? Not on their watch. If the women in your game don't look like they've taken a couple of dozen bee stings to the face and gone into anaphylactic shock, then you clearly need to re-examine your internal biases.
Okay. Let me go back a little bit. All right. This is the writer of the Spider-Man game. Notice a semblance there. Now, they say that this just magically happened, and I call bullshit on that. But yeah. Oh, and Mary Jane is supposed to be a supermodel too. So
Because as we all know, the reason that people like Sydney Sweeney are so popular right now is that we're all fascinated by her geopolitical takes on the current military situation in Ukraine. Man, it must be so satisfying as a developer to have spent months or even years carefully crafting every detail of the story and characters in your game, and then have experts like Honeyed Infant come in and completely rework it right under your nose. And what's even better is that you're not allowed to complain or object to any of it because you don't want to be the one guy in the room who goes against
The
message. But wait, there's a problem brewing, because when the game finally releases, it turns out that all of Honeyed Infant's changes weren't quite as popular as the terrified echo chamber planning sessions predicted. Sales are cratering, active users are plummeting, and people are demanding refunds in their thousands. All that extra revenue you were banking on has failed to materialize. It's almost as if people never wanted this stuff in the first place.
Am I so out of touch? No, It's the children who are wrong.
And not only are gamers up in arms about it, but they've also begun tracking other games that Honeyed Infant have worked on, and they've begun to notice a pattern. Almost everything they touch ends up being a worse product because of their input. But what to do? Do they allow it to blow over and get back to work?
No.
Do they reassess their philosophy on what customers want from their entertainment and try to produce better work in future? No, of course not. What they do instead is start an active campaign to silence and censor anyone who speaks out about them, which in turn fans the flames of controversy and attracts even more attention to the problem that they created. Because truly, if there's one strategy that always works in business, it's going to war with your own customer base. Just ask Disney. But now the truth is out, and what started out as a minor problem has turned into a national scandal that everyone on the internet is talking about, and suddenly there's talks of boycotts and protests and mass layoffs, and gamers everywhere are actively rebelling against the message and anything that companies like Honeyed Infant have touched. And now you're probably wishing that you'd run a tighter ship, spent your money more wisely, and hired actual talented people to work on your games instead of activists masquerading as industry consultants. But hey, it's not like any of this stuff could actually happen for real. Could it? Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Alright, that was pretty entertaining. The funny thing about that is the Sweet Baby Detected page on Steam had 9,000 people following it until the people who work for Sweet Baby Incorporated decided to throw a conniption fit. And when they did that, it created something that is called a Streisand effect, which basically draws way more attention to something than it would have ever gotten if you would have shut up. But they couldn't shut up because they are so, just like the Critical Drinker says, they're so into the message, and you have to understand that the message is what is most important. So it turned a thing that would have blew over into this PR nightmare where it's probably going to cost them business, because the other companies are looking at this like, wait a minute, so people are going to start to boycott, and maybe we need to do something about this and disassociate ourselves with these people. Now, if it wasn't for what happened with Bud Light, this probably would have, been brushed under the rug, a bunch of angry folks. But we're post Bud Light, knowing that if you piss your customer base off, they will just leave you alone and move on to other things. So I don't know how this is going to break out, but it'll be interesting. All right. So if you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment and all that fun stuff. I will post the Drinker's original link to the original video in the description down below. So like, share, and subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Peace.